This is our first live and in person session, guest speaker session. I am joining from um, from Bali. We're joining from Bali. Before Daliana comes in, I would like to introduce you to the agenda for today's event. And yeah, where are you guys joining from? Let's just wait for everyone joining the chat and say hi. Uh, which country? What time is it now there? Because it's 10 a.m. and in Bali, and I know some of you guys are joining very late at night or very early. So thank you. We are excited to have you. Great, USA. Welcome, welcome. So let's. Okay, now I see your chats. Great, Canada, Mississauga. I'm sorry, I think I butchered it. San Francisco, awesome. San Francisco people, that's where originally I met our today's speaker. So great to see folks from our city. Chengdu, China, London, awesome. So cool. I see familiar faces too. Great. So let's get started. And before I will introduce the guest, I would like to remind you guys that this is one of the Break Into Data's events, and we host these type of sessions with industry experts mainly in data and AI. And this is a real community that was originated at Discord, and we're still at Discord. And we did things like 30-day machine learning challenge and accountability system and so on and so forth. But these days, we are building something special for people that are looking to get serious and get their first job or maybe second job in data and AI. And we are building a private, exclusive community where you can get all the access to interview resources and get access to the group coaching run by me. So this is going to be a private community, as I said, but only 50 people are going to be enrolled at once so that we can control the experience, make sure that everyone is getting along fine. So this is going to happen soon. We don't have the date yet, but we do have a wait list if you're interested in joining and getting to that first batch of 50 people. Let me pull up the link so you can save it, but save it now because I'm going to remove the link in just a bit. And now let's get into our guest today. I'm super excited for today's guest because we have a lot of history, and I'm so happy that she's going to be here with me today. So, this is about Daliana Liu. And if you've seen my LinkedIn post and Daliana's LinkedIn post, today is going to be a special event where she will share everything that has worked for her, that hasn't worked for her in the past 7 years of her senior data science experience at FAANG, specifically at Amazon. And over the past few weeks, I've been getting along with her just because we are living in the creator house in Bali, and this was a great opportunity for me to get to know her better and just learn a bunch of things from her, just because I haven't had that type of experience. I have a different background, and I'm super grateful that today I was like, yo, Daliana, I think people got to know everything that you know, and why don't we host this event? So I'm glad that we organized this. And yeah, let me tell you a little bit about Daliana. She, as I mentioned, she worked. First of all, she worked as a BI analyst in the beginning, and then she transitioned into data science and eventually to ML side of things at Amazon. And when she was sharing personally stories about her career journey, it sounded like there's so much more than technical skills that you need. And in my community, people always think that yeah, you need to nail the leak code, you need to nail your portfolio and all these other things, but you're missing out the key ingredient that makes you successful in the long run. So I thought that today could be a great topic to discuss that. And Daliana is currently running a career accelerator program for data scientists. And she will talk a lot more about her coaching experience and everything else. So tune in on the chat, and we'll be asking questions. For I mean, we'll be getting questions from you and asking our guests. So prepare them. And towards the end, we're gonna have a Q&A session as well, just specifically to answer your questions. So, why don't we get started and welcome our guest, Daliana? Hello. Why don't you say hi?
Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be here and I will try to squeeze in as much as I can in a 60 minutes to share my playbook in career growth.
Yes, I'm super excited. Where are you joining us from?
From where you're joining from, we're in Bali, Indonesia. Actually, we're sharing the same house, so it's been great to getting to know you the last couple of days and also do our adventure together.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited too because we have more adventures ahead. But before that, I am excited to get to know you even deeper, and also allow our audience and people who follow us just get to know you more, because I feel like LinkedIn doesn't allow you to really get to know the person behind the post. So this is a great opportunity. And yeah, why don't we get started? I am really curious to know, what is your background? Where are you originally from? And how did you eventually transition to data science?
So I'm from China originally. I went to college in China. I studied applied math. Uh, Fun fact: I got into math because actually didn't do well in college entrance exam, so I didn't have the opportunity to have the score that's high enough to select those really popular majors like business and finance at that time. So I got into math. And then I realized I wanted to do something that's more applicable. So then I applied for a master program in the US. So that's when I moved to California. I did my master in a University of California, Irvine. And then naturally, at that time, there wasn't the title of data scientist. So the title was either statistician or BI engineer. So my first job was the only data analyst or BI data analyst in a startup. And then I think maybe later the recruiter from Amazon find me because I have the job title on LinkedIn. I didn't have anything on LinkedIn, but maybe just because the relevance of the role, they were hiring a BI engineer slash statistician. If you think about it, that's basically a data scientist. So I got into this role before the data scientist role was invented. That was how I got into data science and later Amazon.
That's so interesting that LinkedIn helped you land this job because
Technically, yeah.
yeah. But I love the transition stories. You said that the recruiter found you. Can you tell us more about how was the job market back then, and was it easier than now, or how was the job application process?
So at that time, most people study statistics. Uh, they got into pharmaceuticals. So in pharma, you do a lot of experimentation, for example, like A/B tests. So there weren't a lot of data people working in tech. So I didn't even think about getting to tech. So I think this recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn and talk about like A/B testing. I had no idea what A/B testing was, and in my first job, I was using a lot of R. I didn't even use a lot of SQL. So I just thought, well, I could maybe just try to learn and try it. So I didn't say no, although I know this job is very different from what I was doing before. So the recruiter was very helpful. So she sent me a lot of resources online. I quickly learned the foundations of A/B testing. I learned SQL. I remember I was actually going to Coachella, a music festival that weekend, and I brought a SQL book to prepare for the interview. Yeah, so I think that role, they were looking for someone with a good foundational skills. It was a very junior position, and they also want to hire someone with good communication skills. So this role, later we'll talk about, will give A/B testing, statistic trainings to the entire Amazon engineers, product managers who are in the field, and hosting office hours. Think about doing kind of customer service. So I think 60%, 70% was very, very technical work. And then they want someone to also be able to work with our stakeholders. So I think maybe they see a mix of those skills, although I didn't have previous experience. So maybe there wasn't a lot of openings for data scientists at that time. Uh, but I think they were the job interview process wasn't as grueling as today, like 4 to 6 hours, multiple rounds.
Yeah. Wow, I just wish that everyone who is applying for jobs these days had the same opportunity, but it doesn't mean that you should still try and get the and land the dream job that you deserve. So why don't we get go ahead and explore your role at Amazon? Just because I know that for instance, I focus a lot on helping people land the jobs, but I feel like you're someone who is there to help them while they get the job, while they're on the job, because people are going through the difficult transition into getting to know the company and the environment and the dynamics. And I feel like those things, like you said, the communication skills is very crucial at that point. And I'm curious to know, did you face like similar struggles once you landed the job, maybe? And how was the journey like for you?
Yeah. So, for the audience, if you feel struggled in your current job, especially feel confused about how to create more impact or getting stakeholder alignment, leave a comment. So, yes, exactly. I was there because my job was very different from my previous role. So there was a skill gap. I had to catch up, and also, when I was in a smaller startup, I had very easy access to, say, my manager, some people I collaborate with. And in a bigger company, you just feel so lost there. For example, I didn't know how to give my manager updates, how to ask for resources, and how to ask for help. I thought if I could prove I can do everything on my own, then that means I'm a good employee. So which is actually the opposite. Of course, you need to have the ability to finish your project independently, but doesn't mean you have to do everything on your own. You can through manage up. You need to ask your manager where you need your manager to unblock you, or sometimes even get your coworkers to help you finish a project, or know when to ask questions, who to ask questions. So in my first year, I was just surviving. I didn't know how to create more impact. I was look around my coworkers, some of them working on high impact project and also had a lot of visibility, and I didn't know how to get there. And fast forward to, I think, a year later, I found I found a project that started from a passion project. I was doing it on my own, and later that become like a very high impact project. If you are interested, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, I just you just mentioned so many pain points that I face and many of my community members talked about too. I feel like this is like a default maybe programming in us, when we feel like when we get a job, we need to prove ourselves. And maybe it's part of imposter syndrome, but in reality, nobody works in silo. Everyone is trying to collaborate and be a team player. And I am curious about that aspect. I do want to talk about it later on, but another interesting thing that you pointed out, what was the project, the passion project? I'm really curious to know.
Yeah, so I was on the team that builds A/B testing experimentation platform for the entire Amazon. For example, they want to test maybe today the Amazon buy now button is in a different color or have a different font, or sometimes the layout of the product page, for example, a lot of those things. And then I realized, because we are the platform team, so I can see hundreds of thousands of experiments, and I realized some teams are testing very similar features, but because they don't talk to each other, so they might waste their time to test the exact same thing. And so, because essentially our customers are all the teams in Amazon who use the platform, and one of the value in Amazon is called customer obsession. So we constantly think about how to create a better experience for our the users of our platform. So then I talked to my manager. I talked about this idea, and then my manager agreed with this idea. How about we create a something similar to what we call today a knowledge repo. So at that time we didn't have a knowledge repo. So he talked about how about you do some meta analysis, because there are a lot of experimentation. You do need to do something, for example, to adjust the p value to find to remove those experiments that might have false positives, and then find the experiment that had real significance. And so you want to understand why the experiment was successful. So I also talked to a lot of product managers, engineers, and the team. So basically, I interviewed them within Amazon, and then I read a report. So it requires a lot of statistical analysis, coding skills, and also communication skills. Eventually, I read a report, but then I realized if I just read a report, nobody want to read another report, and that's actually when I first got into content creation. I thought I could create an email newsletter within Amazon. And send it to everyone who subscribed to our platform. And if no one click into the email, doesn't matter how good you write it, nobody gonna read it. So I also spend a lot of time. So besides doing all the technical analysis, talking to the stakeholders, I also spend a lot of time thinking about how to create an engaging title. So this is a very untraditional data science project. It started from as a passion project. I do that after work or sometimes over the weekend, because I believe in the value of this project. And eventually, this email list grew. And for example, sometimes I remember the VP of Amazon Prime replied to this email and said, "Oh, this is really, really valuable." So this is the first time I realized, oh, you can't always wait for your manager to create a high impact project for you. So in my coaching, I talk about there are different ways to find high impact project. One is the top down, right, from your manager, and a lot of the time is you need to have the sensitivity to discover from a day-to-day work what is some question people repeatedly ask, or within your team, what is blocking your team. Is it a data pipeline or the model training pipeline? Sometimes maybe the highest impact project isn't about building that, the LLM model, but maybe improve 1% of latency in the infrastructure. So that's the first time I realized how to create impact. And later on, this project become a very high impact. So it's not a passion project anymore. I don't have to work on it over the weekend. And my manager even gave me more resources, meaning he assigned a technical uh, writer and program manager, and asked other data scientists and research scientists on my team to collaborate with me on this project.
Wow. That is so cool, I must say, just because from the perspective of someone who hasn't worked at the corporate, my experience is different from yours. So when you talk
Yeah.
about these things, I feel like many of the myths get debunked, because in my imagination, I always thought you need to just obey the manager and do nothing else but that, you know. And when you said that you created this entire program within the company, I think this is beautiful, and I think everyone could be as proactive as you. But I am actually curious, what do you think are the critical skills that many data scientists these days miss and over focus maybe on technical things, but what are the other things that they should focus on as well?
Yeah, I think it sounds very broad when we talk about communication skills or stakeholder management. I think a lot of time it basically is a sense of product thinking, to think about who is going to use my model at the end of the day, and who are those people, what do they look like, what's keeping them up at night, and eventually what business problem am I solving. For example, am I making more money for the company, am I trying to help the company have more users, or drive growth, or just improve the customer experience, or for example, detect the fraud actors, etc. So we need to kind of think backwards to think about the product, instead of thinking about, oh, what kind of analysis or model we want to build. So if you think about the technical skills, the models, the programming language, all the microservices we know, those are important. Those are the bricks that lay the foundation. But if you want to build a house, you need the glues, the pipes, and so your strategic thinking, your communication skills basically are the superpower you can have. To basically, you need someone to help you lay the bricks together with you, meaning how to influence your peer. So in my coaching, I talk about how to influence in your level, influence up level, meaning your stakeholder manager, and sometimes influence down. Maybe when you are more senior, you need to mentor people, you need to learn how to coach people to help you create a successful project together. And also how to run meetings, how to one big thing as a senior data scientist or tech lead is to break down a complex goal into smaller steps. So basically, how do you deal with ambiguity? So I will summarize all of that into two categories. One is strategic thinking beyond the technical skills, and another one is your ability to communicate, to influence, to quote unquote sell, to get buy-in from stakeholders, and also get your manager on your side.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. I am already learning a bunch. I am curious though, guys. Daliana did ask a question about what were your challenges when you just landed a job or transitioned to data science? How was your expectation, and was that different from reality? And throughout the questions, I would love to just pick one question, maybe, if you're okay with that. I really like this one too. It says, the scene is asking, how can an introvert, also a quiet person, can communicate and expand their network?
I really like this question because although I'm a loud person on the internet, I think I definitely have the skill set or the side of me that's extrovert, but I identify as at least 50% introvert. I need my alone time. And I think one of the misconception is if you want to build influence, expand your network, you have to be loud. You have to be the person that always get a lot of people's attention. Yeah, I think you don't have to do that. I can tell you one example. I have a friend. She's a senior data scientist at Amazon. I never seen her even giving a lot of talks within the company or outside the company. She want to be private, never posted anything on LinkedIn. However, she knows how to develop your inner circle of influence, meaning she's able to collaborate with principal data scientists or directly work on high impact project reporting to the director. So those people are eventually going to be the people who are yeah, exactly. looking at your promotion, and pull you into more high impact project. So uh, there's actually a benefit to be an introvert, because as an introvert, we talk less, we like to listen, we like to ask questions, and everybody likes to talk about themselves. So as an introvert, if you don't feel comfortable always, you don't have to be the social butterfly. Maybe, for example, if you meet someone in the kitchen, or have a virtual one-on-one after a meeting, maybe you can ask them more questions. Hey, I'm just curious, what are you currently working on? Or, I saw you did this, that's really cool, can you tell me more about that? So show genuine curiosity. And I think a lot of times it's very effective to get feedback in a small meeting, one-on-one meeting, right? I think if you want to get feedback from your manager, or someone who's more senior, you can ask them if they can have a one-on-one meeting with them, and then showcase your work, get feedback. I think sometimes the best way to learn from a mentor is to get them involved in your work, or get involved in their work. Ask them what they're working on, and let them know your capabilities, and see if you can help. Maybe you just start with helping them processing some data, and eventually, if they like how you deliver results, maybe they will give you more responsibility. So ask people how you can help. And I think usually introvert people can create more. I wouldn't say, compared to extrovert. I think there's a unique benefit for introverts to create a deeper connection with people. So to summarize, I think to, for example, uh, have a goal of maybe a few people on your team or your stakeholders you want to build a relationship, and leverage your ability to ask questions, to listen. I think the biggest thing about communication is actually to listen, to understand their needs, and show your genuine curiosity, and build the relationship in a small circle.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that was very interesting. I really liked, especially when you said that somebody helped, like, we can process data, or like do the tedious things that nobody wants to do,
Yeah.
and get impact there. I was gonna ask, maybe you have like more ideas on how somebody can get involved with, maybe like cross other teams, and maybe even like completely different like departments, as you said. But how do you do that, and what projects do you choose? How can you think about it? Is there a framework to that?
To get involved in other teams'
Yeah.
project. Yeah. So I think the number one question I want to ask is, why do we want to get involved? So sometimes in the senior level promotion, especially when you get to the staff level, you do need to showcase your ability to work with a cross functional team. Or for data scientists, it's very common for us to work with a team of engineers. So I think if you can show the other team your big picture, if that's aligned with their team goal. So basically, you need to show them what's in there for them,
Mm.
right? If you're collaborating with this project, it will help you, and it is the shared goal of our entire organization. And I think that's kind of come back to the previous we talk about relationship building, right? For example, if you want to work with engineer, for example, I can give you one example. I was building the very first machine learning project when I was still on that platform team, and our data set were not built to process machine learning data, and I need a engineer to help me with it. And I know also with some help of my manager. So sometimes if you need to get uh, some help from your other team, influence kind of in a lateral way, your manager can help you. For example, my manager told me this person is interested in transitioning into a machine learning engineering role, so they are actually looking to work on machine learning related projects. So it's a win-win situation. Although it seems like this other person also give me more of his time in this project, but he's learning a lot through working with me. So there, for example, there might be other cases. There's a data scientist or analyst engineer on the other team. They are up for a promotion. They need the specific scope, and if you can let them realize, oh, by collaborating with you, or you can maybe help them create a scope that is helpful for their promotion, they will also want to work with you. So one is understand. So understand when you solve problem, thinking about the goal you try to achieve, what the stakeholders want. And when you work with people, you need to think about from individual perspective, what do they want? Everyone have different needs, right? Maybe, for example, this person is a new dad. He wants to have better work-life balance, spend more time with kids, or different people have different type of needs. And I think it takes this understanding, curiosity, and empathy to see if you can have win-win situation with people from different teams. So there's a level you can influence directly, and sometimes maybe you also need to your manager's help. Maybe your manager need to, on your manager's level, influence that person's manager, because you do need to take the other team's time. And I also have been cases where my manager, or say the other team, invite me to go to their planning, their daily stand up. So it's another opportunity. Sometimes you can be the if you have a close collaboration, can I go there and do that and make sure you actually listen, provide value.
I love that we started talking about the mindset more, because I think that is crucial to your long term career success in whatever field you choose. And I want to know, you mentored so many people and coached so many people. What do you think is the number one reason people get stuck in their careers, and how can they just move from that headspace and start making progress? I know there's like situations, maybe your manager is not as helpful as you want them to be, or there are other situations that they feel discouraged in. What do you think they could do about it?
Yeah, so there is one big thing we previously already talked about. We need to get out of the technical mindset instead of being obsessed with the technical depth of something, to think about the business. How can I help your manager meet this goal? Think as a team player. And the second one is the fear of asking for what we want, especially for me, growing up in China. I think a lot of people coming from the culture where we were taught to be humble. And I remember one of the most important feedback I got from a manager was, he told me that you are timid. I never thought people would use the word timid to describe me. He said, most of the time when you say your opinion at meetings, you are right, but you don't say it. So then I realized, oh, I need to just say my opinions more. And it's okay when your opinion is wrong. Because when you think about it, when you're meeting, there are times when you're like, why did I ask this question? Why do people say this and that? But they still say it. The thing is, if you let people know you're someone who has opinion, you reply to the email, someone sent it to 10 people to ask for feedback, maybe only you reply, then people know you're someone who has an idea, or sometimes just show that you care, right? And then slowly people will want to get your feedback. Again, we talk about getting feedback, get involved, help other people give feedback. Sometimes is a great way for you to get involved in high impact project. And also for promotion. Some people I coached, they're in the same role for 2 years, and they're struggle with getting a promotion. And I asked them, have you talked about it with your manager? And they're like, no, I'm waiting for my manager to nominate for me. So in I think you need to tell your manager you want to grow to the next level. The biggest misconception is a lot of people think they will have to work on a large project and then get a promotion. It's the other way around. So you show your capability to deliver results. So you have to earn trust from a manager in the beginning, and then you can talk about. You don't have to ask for, like, we don't want to demand a promotion,
Mm.
so you can tell your manager, uh, what does my growth like? What does it take for me to grow to the next level? And usually I have this framework I use, like a checklist to evaluate different areas of your project to see what's the gap. And then you also need to ask your manager to see, is there any company document to detail the, for example, in Amazon, we call it a promotion guideline. So once you have this conversation, your manager help you create a high impact project, help you lead a project. So that's how my manager, different managers help me get a promotion. So you need to let your manager know. But again, you need to have the foundation of trust. You need to deliver results. And even if your manager tell you you're not ready, it's still okay. It's very important to get a feedback from the manager, and then you can bridge that gap, and you know specifically what you want to work on. And also, if you just think from the perspective of your manager, right? If someone tells you they want a promotion, it shows that they're hungry, they want to grow. You might want to naturally give them more resource versus someone who never mentions it. You might just think, oh, they're happy where their role, I don't need to worry about it. And imagine there are a few other people with the same capability on your team, and they all ask for a promotion. Of course, your manager only has limited attention.
Yeah.
Your manager is only going to give the, priority attention to the people who ask for promotion, because if they don't get it, maybe they want to leave the team, and it takes a lot of effort to retain a good employee. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then one thing I want to add is, if your manager say you're not ready, you can think about managing your promotion as managing a project. Create a timeline, a milestone for you and your manager to track. Like I said, your manager is busy, but also you don't need to be too pushy. Maybe track, say, once a month or every other week. So you need to balance kind of your career growth, but also the relationship with your manager.
Mm. This is like, I think, one of those things, it's easy to say but hard to do, because that requires you to change your thinking, your patterns, your behavioral patterns. Because, like, I know from my own experience as someone who grew up in Asian culture, it's more like you should never speak up for your needs, and it's usually very frowned upon and shameful even. Like, how dare you talk about your dreams and needs when we have whole this thing to run? And I feel like it's almost like a, I don't want to say therapy, but it's definitely like, that's why coaching is like a different field, because it wants to help you help yourself progress to the next level. And if you don't advocate for yourself, nobody else will. And if you don't communicate what you need, and I have this like happen a lot in my past, like, if you don't, I've seen it a lot too, when people like do so much, like they deliberately do a lot of things, but they never tell that they're doing these things to get a promotion or to get more visibility, or to, they don't communicate that. And I think those things are very important to say, because then you can tell them your expectations and you can manage them. Yeah. And yeah, I think this is, that's why we need coaches. When I hired my first coach, I saw immediate results, because then I had someone to be accountable to about like this specific goal in my life. And I finally got results, like especially when I was building the community, I hired a coach as well. And I think coaches, they're underestimated, and you definitely need to look into that. But I am curious though, let's get back to the data science field. And guys, if you have any questions or maybe stories to share about how you miscommunicated or you couldn't communicate, or maybe it's the same thing with your culture, share it in the chat. We want to, this is a space to get to know each other. So don't be shy, speak up, share comments here. But yeah, I am curious for someone who is early in their career in data science or machine learning, what are the options they have? Like everyone wants to have like a 3 to 5 year old vision of their life. What options they can like think about? Maybe like maybe they want to do a product management role, or maybe they want to be more technical or more like people oriented. Are there certain paths, and is there like a specific like things that you need to do to get towards that path? Or yeah.
Yeah, with the current development of data science and AI, I think 3 and 5 years, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But I will always advocate for not just encourage my mentees, my students to always have a goal. And the goal is more like a North Star. It could be very vague and it's okay to change it, but I think it's okay, it's good to have something that you work towards to and have some milestones you create for yourself, but on the way also be flexible, adaptable for changes. For example, 5 years ago, if you ask me, I wouldn't think I would do what I do today, but I really enjoy what I do right now. So okay, with that, uh, typically in the company, there are two paths for data scientists. One is you become a senior data scientist or principal level if you stay on the individual contributor path, IC. Or another way is a manager. So sometimes people think, oh, become a manager is a promotion. It's not necessarily. So sometimes being a manager could just mean a different path. So maybe you don't do a lot of hands-on projects, but you need to come up with strategies. You manage people. You need to think about how do you motivate people. So a friend of mine, a new manager, joked with me. He feels like he's a babysitter because when he become a manager, he realized, oh, sometimes people are not delivering results, or they have other struggles, or people have, say, immigration issues and need to take care of that. So it's not just about being technical, but if you only want to stay in technical leadership, you can become a staff, a senior, or principal data scientist. So you can lead teams, you might report directly to VP, you have that influence, and you don't need to worry about writing feedback, direct feedback for a specific employee for your performance. So there's pros and cons. But the thing is, if you think your vision is eventually to become a VP or learn all the management skills or have your own company, maybe you stay on the management track. So both track requires a lot of leadership skills, but I would say it's different. You have to continue to grow your technical depth once you stay on the IC track. And in some companies, if you are at a senior level, in some company might be the staff level, there's something called terminal level. So meaning you can stay there and nobody will push you for the next level of promotion. So if for people who maybe value some work-life balance, some people prefer to stay in that level. And there are also a lot of data scientists moving to other roles. I think data science is a really unique species because we work with product managers, software engineers, and a lot of times what we do doesn't feel like data science. So there are data scientists. Later, I've seen them. They realize, oh, I want to write more code. I just love engineering. They become software engineer, or they become product manager. Especially for example, product data scientist or business analyst. They know how to write SQL. They know how to do experimentation analysis. So they have an unique edge. Being a product manager, or someone feel, oh, I don't want to be the person who always answer product manager's request. I want to be the product owner. there are also a lot of data scientists today. They discover a lot of opportunities or pain point in tooling. They become founders. I've interviewed a few on my podcast. They used to be data scientists. So there are the few other things you can do. I think for the right now, I think it's important to know what's your strength, what do you enjoy, and what does the industry needs, and to find that sweet spot. But also keep learning, keep uh, developing, keep adapting.
I love all of those things because it does require an open mind to explore different paths. And I do agree with you, data scientist path. And since I advocate more for machine learning engineering, just because I find it exciting, I feel like there are so many domains that exist in one single role. So if you want to transition to anywhere else, I think anything is possible for you. But yeah, let's get back to the I had questions prepared. So yeah, I hear you say there's some I read some of your posts on LinkedIn, and I like how you say there are secrets that only senior data scientists know. And I am curious about those. Can you share?
Yeah, I think I probably already shared a few. For example, a lot of people think, including myself, I thought being a senior data scientist meaning you're going to work on state of the art research. But in reality, your project, being a senior data scientist meaning you need to solve more complicated problems. Sometimes it lies in the technical problem, sometimes it lies in the ambiguity, or on the business side, it's very hard to translate that business problem to a data science problem. Or sometimes a high impact project could mean you need to align with different teams or increase the performance of some internal tooling to empower other data scientists. So when you become a senior data scientist, you need to focus more on the impact instead of just the technical skills. And there are some other things. For example, uh, you need to know how to influence people without the title. So even though at the senior title, a lot of people respect you, and then you will be able to lead a lot of project. But sometimes you also be in rooms with directors, with the senior managers. So how do you get their alignment, right? We talked about the power of asking for feedback, getting feedback, and a lot of times the project or people's feedback is not just what they say, right? If you ask people feedback in a meeting, what they say, maybe they tell you, it happens so often for data science. I wonder whether people have encountered that. People tell you they want this project, but when you deliver it to them, they find excuses not to implement that. So sometimes people, maybe there's some reason they, maybe at that moment they didn't really know what they want, or they couldn't really tell you the reason. Or sometimes there are reorgs, and there's a new leader, so they can completely change the roadmap. So it's important for data scientists to develop the relationship with the stakeholders, team, like a personal relationship. Sometimes you might not have direct relationship, say for example with the director you work with, but maybe there is engineer that work very closely with a director. If you have a close relationship with an engineer, maybe you can understand more about, oh, what's the dynamic of that organization, are they really prioritizing this project, and if they're not prioritizing, is it because it's not useful for them, or they need some other resources. So you need to have the sense to understand deeper relationship at work. Some people think it's quote unquote politics. I don't think it's necessarily a negative word. I think politics meaning how to get more people to be on your side, and basically how to, another way is basically how to influence without the title, how to influence with integrity, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to help your team to create more impact, to help your company to meet their business goals,
Mm,
etc. So that's another thing, kind of beyond just having a good communication skill, is to have that ability to understand the dynamics of
mm,
different teams.
mm.
Yeah.
I love this. I think I want to ask a couple few more questions before we get into the Q&A section. And you touched upon very interesting saying that politics doesn't have to be always about negatives. And some part of me was like, I don't know about that, because you meet so many, like, I don't want to say a bad word, but like jerks in the in the company, and sometimes they hold a lot of power over you. And I wonder, you said, how can you lead with integrity? How can you influence without having like official power or title? So, have you had like moments like this when you had to like uh, do something with these difficult personalities, or how do you get around that?
Yeah, I think once you are, if you are in direct relationship with the people who have a lot of power, probably you also have some power yourself. You have to have feel you have your own power at work. The power come from your technical ability, come from the support from your manager, come from your previous successful project that give you the confidence, or your technical expertise in a specific domain. I remember one, I think she's like a principal program manager in Amazon. I forgot, maybe she's a VP, gave a talk. She said, when we are having a discussion on something, if I have a higher level than you, then I have more power than you, right? That's just um, people, that's why you have different levels. That's um, how the corporate works. But if you have evidence, if you have one data point to show me I'm wrong, then I listen to you. So kind of going back to influence without the title, it's harder to influence people when someone has a higher title. So the thing is, for example, it happens very often. A director or manager want a project to be done in a very specific way. They're very obsessed in a method. So it's very hard for you to just tell them they're wrong. Or when you work with stakeholders, people don't like to be told that they're wrong. Um, so you have to quickly implement what they want to do and show them why it doesn't work. And that's not enough. You also need to show them alternative, what works. So when you present them, hey, I tried this, this is the pros and cons of this, and then you give them alternative. So also make them feel they have the option to choose. So that's how you get the stakeholders to be on your side, to kind of um, and to influence them, right? And you also said maybe there's some very powerful people, jerks. I think that's kind of in another category. So sometimes if there are people who are not reasonable, and you need to have specific evidence, so you can tell your manager, hey, I noticed that when I have meeting with this person constantly interrupt you, or etc. um, so I don't recommend always, ask your manager to help. I think if you have feel you have tried everything, for example, laying out your plan, show them the pros and cons, why they are wrong, and the evidence of why you're right. If they are not looking at evidence, and I think that's a good time to tell your manager, because you have done your homework. It's not just, oh, I feel they're a little rude. It's like you have done the groundwork. So I think in a corporate world, especially as a technical person, it's important to have those evidence when you have a discussion with people, and also know when to get support. I know we're like running out of time. Another thing I want to add is, sometimes if you are in a meeting with someone that's hard to work with, and it's helpful to bring another person on your team. That can make you feel you have more support, you have more evidence. Yeah, there was a specific time, I forgot what was the case. I just remember it was always me and a few other senior people on the other team, and they're very suspicious of our approach. And I just asked our manager, hey, can you come to me with that meeting. I think it will be helpful. So that's how you manage up. You basically borrowing your manager's influence to that meeting. Yeah.
Interesting. Yes, I hope if anyone had you like by the side once they're navigating their difficulties at their job, I think they would get a lot of value and get unstuck. But yeah, let's get ready for the Q&A. Hopefully you have insightful, amazing questions that will change your life. But in the meantime, I actually wanted to ask you about your founding, um, about your founder's journey. And I know that you're working on your accelerator program. And actually, I think I have I think I have slides prepared. I do want to know more about the program that you're running, because I think that is a great. Let me just first. Uh, yeah, I'll show it. I think that is just a great opportunity for people to get advantage of your coaching. And I know one-on-one can be for some people out of the picture, just because it's a lot more expensive than the group coaching. However, this is a great opportunity for anyone to get to learn from you directly, and also meet other people that are data scientists that are also working at big tech and have similar issues. And I feel like this power of community and network can truly set you apart. So there's benefits to that. And I do have, if you don't mind, I do want to know more about the program.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So, in our program previously, I coached people from Amazon, Google, Meta, uh, a few from other FAANG companies or startup, all size and shapes of companies. And so it's a group coaching course, but I try to keep it small, usually about 10 people. And I make sure, so there will be lessons where I talk about how to build your influence, how to influence without the title, how to increase your impact, and how to get a promotion you deserve, and how to find your niche, how to find your optimized career path. So there will be lessons, and I will also give you workbooks so people can immediately use those things to solve their current career struggles. So I think the value in this hybrid of coaching and teaching, and also with a group, you can learn from each other. You can also get inspired by other people's strategies, and you also learn from how other people tackle their challenges. And I will personally review those homeworks. So there was one student from the last cohort. She immediately used the workbook about project strategies in her next a brainstorm meeting, and got a lot of positive feedback. So that really made me feel very happy. So I want you to, so if you're feeling stuck in your current career, if you feel confused about how to get more impact, how to build influence, how to get promotion. So basically, this is a program that I will virtually handhold you to show you the step by step framework of how to get to where you want to be in your career, and you walk away feeling confident when you try to get buy-in from the stakeholders, when you create more impact and work on your promotion.
Yeah, I just want to say, personally, for me, I just find it it's extremely impactful when you work with a coach, just because I had experience with that too. Because most of the time you are just on your own with your own head, in your own limiting beliefs, in your own limited scope of vision, of experience that you had, and you are making decisions on your life based on that, when you could be making decisions from someone who has gone through everything that you've gone through, and know exactly what to do, and know what kind of questions to ask you, so that you can get to know yourself better. Because I think that is truly important when you are making life decisions or career decisions. You need to know about your own strengths, you need to know about your own weaknesses, most importantly, especially when it comes to soft skills. Because if you haven't learned from the talk today, it's very important. And I just wish that many people just started with that. I don't know. I wish every company had their own like coaching services for their employees, but then everyone would be happy, I guess. But I am curious though, if for instance somebody wants to join, how would that look like? Is there like a schedule, or how does the logistics look like?
Yeah, so the next cohort starts in November 4th. So it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 2 weeks. And it's around 5 p.m. Pacific time for about 90 minutes. I know it's a lot of time, and if you can't attend, you will be able to view the recording after the session. And we also have a group chat where you can ask a lot of questions, and we also have dedicated Q&A times and review the homework. So it's very active learning style. I know a lot of people feel they're busy, so you can watch the recording and then you can join the Q&A sessions or ask me questions in the group chat. You can think of it as an investment for your career growth. And so personally, I think I resonate with how you feel about getting coaches. So I think I'm lucky that I have a lot of mentors I learned from when I was in Amazon, and I'm putting those lessons in my course. I also paid probably over at least 50K US dollar just to learn communication. We previously talked about, different type of communication leadership skills outside of the corporate world. And I think those skills really helped me become a senior data scientist later at Amazon. And I'm combining all the things together. Yeah.
That is so cool, because me and Daliana also are interested in like personal growth and mindset and psychology as well. And I feel like whenever I make an investment in my own personal growth, I definitely see results outside in my physical world, just because now I have an elevated sense of self, sense of worth, and I know that I deserve whatever I want, and I can go ahead and make my first steps to get there, and I think that's why coaches is extremely useful, especially in those like early transition days, when they can hold your hand, as just like exactly what you said, and help you get there, and then let you go and you'll be in a new path, where you wanted to be. So thank you, Daliana, for coming in today. Let's open up for the Q&A session. And while you scan, I think, and Daliana gave our community, let's, I put the QR code, guys, if you see it there, our community, a special 15% off code. So if you are going to apply or enroll the program, you can use that. But let's get to our Q&A session, guys. It's so cool that you are learning with me here alone, and please ask away all the burning questions that you had, and we can go from there. I think we had like few questions before. We can go over just a second. Do Okay. Oopsie. Alrighty. What is your thought on the role of analytics engineer? I'm having an internship interview coming up.
Yeah, I think the analytics engineer might be similar to the traditional BI engineer, but I think they changed the word BI into analytics. Maybe it's focusing more on business analytics, solving the business problem. It's not just about building a report. So I think it might be a combination of data engineering role and a data analytics role. So if you are having an interview for this role, I think it's very important to build a relationship with a recruiter. For my job interviews, the recruiters has helped me a ton. So if you have any confusion, just ask the recruiter. And we all know sometimes job description doesn't really match what you do in the role. So yeah, just from the questions, very little information. I can't really just tell you what's required. I think get the recruiters to help you instead of keep your head down and do the prep work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think actually from my experience, analytics engineer is like a next hot role between data and engineering, just because you have to do a lot of data modeling, and DBT is a popular tool these days. So I think it's a great role for you to grow in. So make sure you get ready for your internship. I mean, for the interview. How do so Srividya? I hope I'm not butchering the name. Is asking how to handle career gaps in data science domain. It's a good question.
Yeah. So I think it depends on how do you define the career gap. Career gap to a role you try to get into, or you're already in a role you're comparing to another level. So no one knows everything in data science. There are just so many things to learn. I think it's important to, if you're looking for a job or a specific role, if you're already in the job, to focus on what's the most important thing, the foundational skills, and then learn on the go. So I think it's unrealistic to feel, oh, now everybody's talking about, our LM, Gen AI, computer vision. I have to do all of that. I think it's important to, for example, through could be as simple as a YouTube video or a Coursera course to get a basic understanding of how things works, to know the art of possible. And once you have a business project that require you to do that, you can learn it. You can learn it at that time. You can learn through doing. Or if your current role doesn't support a lot of growth, your current project is repetitive, you can ask your manager or discover, oh, is there anything on the backlog that you can use what you want to learn and solve the problem? Um, so I think the also a lot of time the skill gap is in our head. Maybe you are already good enough, right? So maybe you are ready to get a job or get a promotion. So it's important to again not self reject. Have the conversation with a manager. Are you ready for the next level? I'll share the how the promotion guideline works. For example, in Amazon, it's never about the technical skill. Of course, you need to have technical skill to solve those problems. But on the promotion guideline, it doesn't really mention a specific skill. We all use, for example, A/B testing, statistical analysis, machine learning, ML ops. Everyone have those skills, but at the end of the day, it's about your ability to how to use those things to create more impact, to tackle ambiguous problem. So yeah, so don't feel you need to know everything. Yeah.
I love that. I think I want to add to that question as well, because I have experienced career gaps in before, and when I was talking to coaches, I was feeling a little bit of shame when it came to like larger gaps, like a year or so. And many people think that it's something that recruiters will automatically say no to, but in reality, many companies can see that period of your time as something that either you had to, it's a personal thing, like everyone understands that you are human, but there are other companies, when I was talking to coaches, they said you can position it as you were taking this time, using your own savings to invest in your own learning. So that's exactly what I did. I actually took my time and had a self-directed study to increase my skill set, to work on myself so that I can get a better job. So it all depends on how you position yourself. And that's why coaching is important, because then, as you said, you don't self reject yourself. Never self reject yourself. Let other people do that for you. That's the most important thing. But yeah, somebody was asking also. Eva was asking how many people will be there in one cohort of the course.
Yeah, it would be a small cohort, so about 8 to 10 people.
Great. And Sanjeev was asking, should a person focus on data science, data engineering, or it will be a mix? As one joins company, we have to take up as we get to work.
I'm not sure what does this question mean. It depends on where you at in your current role, and again your interest. Uh, do you enjoy more data science work, more data engineering work? I think there's need for both roles. And data engineering is basically software engineer focusing on data. And as a data scientist, you always do a little bit of a data engineering. Again, it depends on the team, depends on the company. And the data engineers don't necessarily have to do a lot of data science, but you need to understand how it works because data scientists will be your stakeholders a lot of times. Um, so yeah, I can't help you to choose which role. And a lot of time people say, here, oh, data science is dying. Data science is not dying. Just think about how all the hallucination of AI. There are a lot of I just learned, maybe this is like insider information, that a lot of companies, for example, in Apple, they're building their own Apple intelligence, and they're hiring a lot of product data scientists just to help them evaluate the hallucination. Yeah, so if you working on AI doesn't mean you're working on LLM or fine tuning those AI. So if you notice, go on a tangent. So there are not a lot of official ML engineer title these days. I don't know if you noticed. I know we're a community of ML engineer, but ML engineer basically are embedded in the data science job family or software engineer job family. Why? Because when ML engineer just become very hot, there are a lot of companies have this role to attract talent. But now they realize maybe sometimes you need to have some optimization algorithm, or you need to have some rule based algorithm to solve some problems, or you need to still working on ensembling multiple APIs to create a product as a software engineer. So ML become a just a mean to the end, to become an element of software engineer or one of the tools data scientists use. So um, so basically focus on the job description, what they're doing in the company instead of the title. And also, we still need a lot of people with general data science skills, analytics skills in the era of AI. Yeah.
Wow, you just opened up some eyes here because of my title is ML engineer and AI engineer, and in our last conversation at Break into Data with Aishwarya, somebody asked the same question, similar question. They said, what do you think about AI engineering role?" And she basically said, "It's gonna be gone in a few years, just because it will be become a crucial part of software engineering as a whole. Just because there's a new tool, it doesn't mean we have to come up with a new title for that." And I agree with you that you need to focus on the job description, not so much on the title, because companies and recruiters themselves get confused on the titles most of the time. They don't know what they're talking about. And I love that you pointed out sometimes you just can use rule based algorithm. You can just combine the APIs. And that's exactly what a software engineer does in their day to day job. However, I do want to encourage you about the machine learning engineers as well, because it is a different job than a data scientist completely. Data scientist, as you mentioned, is a lot of A B testing, is a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong, but especially from big tech, it's a lot of just SQL work and working with the data itself. And I think it's, many people say it's a fancier title from the data analyst. I don't know what, yes, I'm curious, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think, for example, in Meta, data scientist is more like product analyst. I don't think it's a fancier title for data analyst, because you do need to know a lot of experimentation, A/B testing, and right now there are also situations when you can do A/B testing, so you do a lot of causal inference. And like I mentioned before, so previously when I was working on machine learning in my last team, I was in a team called Machine Learning Solutions Lab, and our titles were all data scientists. So there are data scientists title with very different roles. So not all data scientists are just doing analytics work. I would say there are also a lot of data scientists, there are generalists. So they're doing machine learning. Sometimes they might need to create a simple regression or create a dashboard. Sometimes they need to also put a model in production. So I think it's a misconception that data scientists don't do machine learning. So machine learning is a part of the data scientist job role. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, data science is an overarching role. Let's take in one more question and we can wrap this up. But before you guys go, I do want you to take a first step in your career and write three key takeaways from today's session because we covered a lot of land here in data science. And tag us, take screenshots. I know people love doing that, and I love seeing seeing that on LinkedIn. And I will definitely engage, and I am curious to know what were your key takeaways from the session because we do want to make this more useful and better for the future sessions. So let's take in one more question. What do you say?
Sure.
Uh, do you want, which one do you want to take? The we have.
Um, I think someone asked me how to connect. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I also have a newsletter. I think Mary will send more information in the follow up email. Um, and maybe the last question, I think this person asked, do I recommend any business related certification that I value to data scientists? I think in general, I wouldn't say certifications are completely not valuable because you do learn a lot of things from a certification. But usually, when recruiters look for your resume, they don't really care about certifications. And we all know, for example, when I was in AWS, Amazon, I took the AWS architect certification. There isn't any like hands-on training. Basically, you just answer a lot of questions. So I would say this might be controversial. I wouldn't say all certifications are useless, but most certifications are useless. To think about what skills you want to learn. Even when you read a book, especially a technical book. So, for example, even a machine learning book, use it as a catalog to learn the things you need to do, but you don't have to go through everything. So, whenever you're learning, ask yourself, am I learning because of my curiosity, or I'm learning a crucial skill for my career, or I'm just getting that certification?
I love that. I love that question. I think it adds mindfulness to your learning. But I do want to answer that question too. I definitely think the certifications do added to your portfolio, especially those where you have to pay for the examination and for the cloud solution. So I think for AWS or whatever cloud provider you choose, where they ask you to come in and take an exam, that is quite important, I would say, just because it shows that you have the skill set necessary for the job. And there are other certifications that the companies might value. So it depends on the company too, but definitely don't get too involved in like Udemy courses, like, and like all these online courses, and try to get those. No, do those for the learnings themselves. But yeah, this is great. I think we can wrap this up. I do wanted to add that where's that thing, I forgot to use this. So the discount code that Daliana gave us, it's gonna last only until Sunday, just because she is filling up her seats and it's very limited. And I was like, why do you only accept 10 people? Like, people need more help.
Yeah, we'll have future cohorts, and maybe if you join the waitlist, maybe in the future, maybe we'll launch on-demand version of it for the recording. But I highly recommend the live cohort where you can get feedback from me.
Okay, yeah, great. So I just wanted to test this out. I have a code for the community members of Bid for Bid 15. So try to use that, and if not, the link will work until then as well. Um, yeah. Oops. I think that was it, and we are ready to wrap this up. Make sure to create those posts for us, and yeah, hopefully see you guys next time on our next speaker session. And Daliana will see you at her uh, career accelerator program. So make sure to take advantage of that.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Daliana. Nice having you. It was fun. All right, guys. Bye bye. And the stream. Oh, wait. Totally forgot. Yes. Wait a second. I did want to say the okay. Did I mention the? I hope you guys were able to scan and get the information on the program. But yeah, I highly recommend, and we'll talk to you later. Bye bye. How is it? Is it not? I don't know. I cannot end this. Do I close this?